default headset. Okay. All right. Microphone is working. So I want that to be the headset. So output, input is okay. All right. So now let's try to load up a video. Audio capture is not working right. Is it this one? No, it's not that one. Properties. Headset?
Can use that will allow us to be productive as an organization. Employees need to be able to share files with each other.
Okay. I've got it all reset back up again. Everything's working.
Whether that's to
That's playing. Audio mixer. Get rid of that. I don't know if I have anybody in my lobby right now, but I made a trade recently where I ended up selling and trading kind of a graphics card for a motherboard and a monitor, as well as some like odds and ends processors and RAM, just DDR1 and 2, and some socket 3 and a third gen i, an i3 third gen. Regardless, I ended up getting a really nice monitor in the trade. And granted, it's a little bit smaller than mine, but it's a better frame rate. So I put it in and I moved my better frame rate to the side. And it's caused me to have to reset everything back up. It's being a big pain in my butt, is what it's doing. Let's go to the left. No, let's go to the right. Let's go to the right. Oh, I forgot to tell everybody I'm going to be doing school until this starts hitting. I'm going to go ahead and drink this now. Magnesium citrate. It is nothing to be messed with. It is excellent for cleansing out your digestive tract. I've got about a half a bottle here down the hatch. There we go. Tastes like grape salt. All right. What are file services? I can already tell it's not straight. There we go. In this lesson, we're going to run down on some of the file services that we can. Okay. Well, that's too large. Whatever. In this lesson, we're going to run down on some of the file services that we can use that will allow us to be productive as an organization. Employees need to be able to share files with each other, whether that's to collaborate or exchange information we talked about. Shared folders and windows in the last course.
collaborate or exchange information. We talked about shared folders in Windows in the last course, but in this lesson, we're going to talk about more scalable and efficient ways to share data. Enter file storage services. File storage services allow
I'm writing like shit. I don't know why I'm writing so bad. Yeah, I don't know why I'm writing so bad. Files and manage access between files and group.
Allows to centrally store files and manage access between files and groups. You can set up
Access a shared directory. And much more. I'm gonna change pin colors after this one. No, I'm not. Let's just keep rocking it. Let's just slow down. Make for my writing to get a little bit better. I guess working with my hands caused my hands to forget how to write. I wonder if that's really what's happening. After you work real hard with your hands, your body must be going through homeostasis with your grip strength, because the grip strength required to grip a pen is significantly shorter and smaller than the grip strength, let's say, let's take Sunday's experiment as an example. The grip strength required to use the sander is much different than the grip strength required to operate a pen. So I wonder if that's why, after bouncing from physically extensive laboring to something as minuscule and, one might also argue, useless way, like taking down notes about PUBG Cloud. I wonder if that's just your body's way of going through homeostasis in such a rapid time. Alright, guys, I know I just got on stream, but the one person who is actually in here right now, as soon as I hopped on stream, I drank a half a bottle of magnesium citrate. It's been 11 minutes. There's no way it worked with me that fast, but I think it started the process. I need to go use the restroom. It'll probably be a whole lot of noise, but I'll be back. All right, round one of what I feel will probably be quite a few rounds today. Let's hope it's not. There are lots of. I'm gonna write that down too. Boy, my handwriting is trash today. Understandable, Hex. If it makes you feel any better, while you're stepping away, I may also be stepping away. I drank as soon as the stream started. You can backtrack it. I drank a half a bottle of magnesium citrate. I am a ticking time bomb right now. It took a total of 11 minutes on stream before I had to hop up for my first poop. I don't think it was the magnesium doing it, but I think it got the initial feeling started. And my body's like, oh, there's poop here. Let's get this out. I just went in and evacuated what was left at the lower intestine of my bowels. We will find out how much the half a bottle of magnesium citrate will push out from yesterday and the day before. I was 177 pounds today, and 3 days ago I was 173. And all I really ate yesterday was ice cream, and I didn't drink water. I felt like poopy. I acted like a child. All I wanted was ice cream and my chicken nuggies. I didn't want none of that nonsense. Give me my ice cream, my chicken nuggies, and go away. Needless to say, I woke up with another hangover this morning. Sugar is bad for you. I can't stress it enough. I know I may also consume it in mass amounts, but I promise sugar is bad for you. Oh, while I still got you, Hex, I was talking to my father today about your purpose here. Everybody's, not just mine. And I seem to think that everybody has their own purpose. And it's divinely decided what your purpose is. You don't get a choice in the matter. And through the divine decision, you start shaping your path. They put things in your path to shape you towards the person they need you to be. And the best example I can give will be in the Bible, somewhere along the lines of the first three that he stumbles across that he uses. He words it as, "You are fishermen, but I will make you fishers of men." So he took the profession that they thought that they were there for because they were so good at it, and turned it for his own benefit. And he does it quite frequently. Just in the Bible, he uses people that think they're there to do something else in a whole different manner. So my whole philosophy on purpose and stuff is, yeah, granted, it's my desire to create, but is it my purpose to create? And so, as a, it's kind of like an experiment, but it's more like an exercise. Every morning, when I'm in the shower, just not, I shouldn't say morning, just whenever I'm in the shower, I've been asking Yahweh, which is the correct pronunciation in the Bible of God. I don't know why, out of all the names that they could have translated, the only two that they did translate from the original text to a translated name are God and Jesus. Yahweh and Yeshua were the only two translations. Everything else is directly from it, even Beelzebub and everything. All the demons and stuff, that's their names. It wasn't translated, that's the way they were pronounced. Um, but with that being said, I'm talking to Yahweh in the shower. And I've been doing it every day, just trying to ask some questions. And I got presented with an answer, kind of. It's a thought that I wouldn't normally ask myself, and I could have opened myself up for the question itself. But as I'm asking these questions, and I've already stepped out of the shower and I've proceeded to brush my teeth and things, I get this thought that runs through my head. Do I know how to ask questions? So I think I've already received my first answer on finding my purpose, and I spread that to my father. Now, me and my father got into a debate today on what our purpose really is. He seems to think that your purpose is to spread the gospel. which is definitely a purpose you're supposed to fulfill. But fulfill, I don't really care. Um, it's definitely a purpose you're supposed to fulfill, but it's not your purpose. It's a standard. So if we go back to when the Bible was created, your fellow man was trying to help their fellow man. So, like, men, women, children alike were all against the oppressors. They were just trying to help their fellow man. And it's most prevalent whenever you read stories about, like, slaves being freed and stuff, and, like, just taking lead and trying to help their fellow man. And they're doing these acts knowing that they'll probably be crucified or killed or just persecuted for it. So they're doing all these acts for their fellow man. And one of those acts is so simple as just spread the gospel. So I think that that's not our purpose. I think that that was supposed to have been implemented in us from the beginning. We've been taught not to do it. If you look at children, children are all about their fellow man. They're all about sharing positivity. They learn hatred. No child is born with hatred. It's learned. It's a learned trait. They're all pure, innocent. They just want to share. They just want to teach. They just want to help. And that's all from a childhood nature. And we've grown away from that. We've been taught otherwise. So my thought that I've been asking myself, which I've already dabbled on, is so I like to create. I've been this way my entire life. I'm just curious about the inside workings. And it's not the ADHD in me. It's not the autism. It's none of that. I'm just genuinely curious how things work. And it fascinates me to see how the mechanics on the inside operate. But what if that's not my purpose? What if it's not my purpose to create or learn? What if my purpose has something to do with what I'm passionate about, but I haven't found it yet? So I keep asking the question to, Yahweh, what is my purpose? And I just brought that up with my father today, and it led to that debate. He's very steadfast in his. He thinks that he's supposed to evangelist. He's supposed to be an evangelist for Christ, and that's his purpose, and that's everybody's purpose. But that's not really a purpose. Then I brought up the whole engineering thing. I've always wanted to know how the inner workings work. Well, he said, well, yeah, you mean a job? No, a job is what gets you by. Creating isn't is just to create something isn't a job. Now, being an engineer is a job, but to create something is through creative genius. So, is that my purpose to create, or is my purpose to teach through all these learnings? I'm not really that smart of a person. I just learn really rapidly. It doesn't make me smart. It just means I can tell the connecting dots. I can see the systematic equivalence between everything, and I can get the totality of how it operates. It's just like when I go into fixing a car. I don't know what I'm doing. Every car is built differently, but I know how a typical combustion engine operates. You need fuel, you need spark, and you need air. You need the combustion part. So you need those three things to work. So if it's not firing, something's wrong with those three things. You just have to look. Now, from there, I learn the mechanics of that machine by piecing parts of the puzzle together. I know how the actual engine operates, a simple combustion engine. So if it's a combustion engine, it doesn't matter who makes it, it's the same engine. It's just worded differently. So I don't know. I'm just in this spot in my life right now where I'm not sure I'm supposed to create. I think I'm supposed to teach because I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly seeking. And so God will use our purpose, our passions for our purpose. Like fishermen, he used them to be fishers of men. He used the whores to teach the whores. He used the murderers to teach the murderers. He uses them through their passion, things that they enjoy doing. And yes, murder is something that people enjoy doing. It's a hard thing to talk about, but there are people out there that just like to hurt. But those things can be used. And I'm not a murderer, but I am one that likes to inflict pain. I'm a masochist and a bit of a sadist. So I understand those truths and those people that just can't stop murdering. It's just part of their nature. I can't stop learning through what do you call it, failures. I've become a sucker for failure. I'm going to try something even though I know I'm going to lose because I like the losing process. Because I have established that in order for me as a human to succeed, I must first fail. And that's a standard for almost all humans. I don't know. It's just a lot of questions I got, and this one's been racking my brain for a while. But the conversation was kind of comical because it went back and forth along the lines of, "Well, that's not really a purpose," and Dad's like, "Well, no, it is your purpose. It's your job. Your job is your purpose." Well, no, a job's a job. What's your purpose? It was just kind of comical, and of course it sparked within 30 minutes of being awake. So it was unique, and I couldn't text it. But I have
Up
little
a file
conversations.
storage.
I have conversations like that all the time. If me and you were to ever talk as frequently as me and my father do, like physically talk, allow me to jibber jabber your ear off, you'd get to hear all this nonsense that runs through my head too. Tiffany stepped back one day whenever I was explaining the thought process that goes down when I have to make a decision. And it's more than just one variable that happens anytime any human makes a decision. And nobody really grasps the magnitude of the decision you're making. Something as simple, The Butterfly Effect is the best movie out there to display this. Something as simple as stepping on a grasshopper could alter the flow of everything. That grasshopper could have been the food for an eagle, that could have been the food for a lion, that could have killed off the baby Hitler. But because you stepped on the bug and it led down this series of events, now this isn't happening. So anytime you do something, you have to think of the series of events that will coincide. And so like let's take this for example. I've got $20 in my wallet right now that I have either available for saving or spending. And I know this. I can either spend it, invest it, or save it. So right now it's in save mode because I don't know if I'll need it. But I could have rationed that out and spent it for the processor. Now I would have spent it into the investment to sell off the little computer. But now I'm stuck in a time loop of wait. So what if I need the money by next week? What if I need that money next week and it's already tied up into something else? So now I have to think of that outcome. So by spending the $20, I have to think, well, I need that $20 later. What happens if I spend this $20? Yes, I can make 160 or 260 or whatever I'm going to do with the money. But it could take 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, a month, 2 months. It could take 4 months before I even sell it. And these are all things I have to implement in. Now, how long can I hold on to that $20 that's tied up in an investment? And this will all run through my brain the moment I decide, can I spend this or can I save it? The moment I decide to have that thought, all these variables start running through my brain. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if when you spend this, you need this for that? So I have to have backups into play. So if that happens, this needs to happen. So if I spend this money on this chip, then I need to have this yard sale Saturday to make up the money in case it takes me a month to make this money back. And then in that yard sale, okay, I have this yard sale and I have it Saturday. Let's say I make good money. I want to continue doing that while I wait on the processor. And this is all assuming I have a good yard sale. So I'm gonna take some of that money, go out Sunday, and spend it on a Memorial Day discounts at, let's say, Goodwill. Now that's if it goes good. What if it goes bad? I have a yard sale. I sell three things. Man, what am I gonna do about that money? Now I have to figure out another way to come up with the money. Those are all variables that run through my head by making one decision, yay or nay. And I said that to Tiffany, and she said, and I'm the one with anxiety. Her response was literally, and I'm the one with anxiety. It tickled me beyond belief. But no, man, these thoughts just happen, and I don't know why they happen, which is why it's leading me to the thing where I'm confused on my purpose. I don't think I'm supposed to be a builder. I think I just like building. I think I'm supposed to be a teacher, maybe, because through the building process, I'm learning, and that's what I'm actually wanting. I want to take it apart. I want to see how it works. I want to replicate it. Let me see if I can copy it. I want to see if I can do it. If you can do it, why can't I? So if you know how it works, why can't I know how it works? I don't know. It was just a question that popped in my head not long after I started asking what was my purpose. A question is, am I really asking the right questions? Which led me down the path of, do I know the right questions? Have I learned the right questions to ask? Do other people also need to know the right questions to ask? All these thoughts started happening from the one thing I keep repeating in the shower. What is my purpose? And of course I do it my own way because I don't actually know how to talk to him. So I call him Yahweh, deity, great deity. Just whatever I feel would give him the feeling that I'm legit. I really want to know, and I'm trying to worship and understand him. It led for an hour and a half long conversation, actually, all about purpose.
server that will let users access a shared directory to modify or add files, and much, much more. The other way to
No, you're exactly right. Sometimes the issue is you're not asking the right questions. So I take that into example as well. I'm legitimately legitimate with what I ask. If I ask you what kind of day are you having, I'm not curious how bad your day was. I'm asking what kind of day you're having. If I say how bad was your day, then tell me how bad your day was. So that's just a broad example. There's other ones that can be used as that example too. But whenever I say something, I mean it exactly how I say it because words have meanings, right? So if you understand the same word that I understand, then you understand when I say that word, that's how I mean it. I take that literal example of myself and apply it to the Bible, which is one of the main reasons why I want a Geneva Bible. So there's been a lot of translations, and through the translations, which by the way, the only people they've translated names of were Yahweh and Yeshua and God and Jesus. Those are the only names that's been translated, but a lot of things have been taken out. And things that's been taken out really don't make sense, like the Bible explaining that God also made evil. Why is that gone? It was in Matthew. It was at the very end of one of Matthew's verses about how God makes heaven and hell, good and evil, angels and demons. I, God, do these things. Why was that part taken out? Why don't you want us knowing that God also made evil? So in the Bible, parts that have not yet been taken out yet, that's drawing all these questions, is the fact that he makes us all in his image. So we're for all made in his image, and I'm a very literal thinker. Then shouldn't he also be a very literal thinker? When you say something, then you should mean what you say. So if people are translating your word differently, then they're altering what you're saying. It doesn't matter if it means the same thing. You know, the yard over there and the yard over yonder, as a general reference, mean the same thing. But over there and over yonder, even though they mean roughly the same thing, are actually two completely different forms of measurement. A mile down the road and over yonder, two different forms of measurement. It just when you alter a word, no matter how relatively closely you stay to what it means, you are changing it. You are changing it, and it no longer means what you meant it to mean. It's You're right. That was a whole tangent on I don't think I'm asking the right questions. Can't have one without the other. Yeah, I agree with you on the angels and demons thing. Can't have one without the other. There has to be that, and that goes along with something I learned as a child. You can't have good without bad because you won't recognize how good the good is without the bad to reflect off of it. Otherwise, it's just normal. That's how it's supposed to be. But that can't always be the case because there's both good and evil in men. We're all inherently evil. Ugh, just a quick rant. It was actually not that quick. Earlier this morning, it took an hour and a half. My father literally said, "Son, they've got a hold of me on the radio. I have to go." This is the man that wants to talk to me daily. Had to tell me, I gotta go, son. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I'm actively looking for a copy of Geneva Bible. I don't know if I've told you this or not, but anytime I go to any thrift store, the first place I stop is in the Bible collection section or just the religious section because I've personally seen antique things being sold. I personally have stumbled across them. I've seen them. It's like, oh man, that's really old. Being sold at Goodwill for like nothing. So what's to say I can't find a Geneva Bible for nothing? And actually look at the first translation from the Hebrew text because the Geneva Bible was a standard print for a long time. It was the very first good translation from Hebrew text. And then from there, it started being altered. So I want a Geneva Bible. I want a Geneva Bible. I think there's actually one prior to that, but the Geneva is as old as you can find it. All the other ones I think are like tens of thousands of dollars if you see them. And of course, I can't read Sanskrit and all those ancient translations, so I can't get the original text. You can download those. You can download those all day. The original text, you can download them. I don't know how to translate it. And it would take decades to learn how to translate.
maintain a file storage service is by using a cloud file storage provider. There are lots of providers that offer secure.
Let's go ahead and go to the next one. That I've got off on this crazy tangent. I'm always having these intense conversations with people, and I know that it's not for everybody. So if at any point in time I step out of bounds, please do let me know. But for the most part, I am very spiritual. I think there's more to the spiritual war than we know. And I also believe the Bible to be just one of, if not many, two or many parts of things that you have to do. I think there's a reason why all religion is anonymous. It's all about being positive. Uh, Pretty much even the Hindu one, or not the Hindu, the Muslim one, the Quran, it even justifies Jesus in it. It says for us to be um nice to our fellow man, and then even goes as far as to say to kill the infidels. Now, when it says to kill the infidels, I think what it's referring to are people that are evil, infidels, not people uneducated in their religion. Because the Quran says itself that the Bible is true. Jesus' words are true. It says it, that the acts of Jesus, that it does say that he was one of many. He was another deity and he wants you to follow him. But he does say the acts of Jesus are true. I don't know. I can't get off on a religion too long or I'll lose all my viewers. But that was the main talk today was spirituality. Yeah, you should do some research into other religions. I think they're all taking parts of a whole truth and studying it. I think they're all part of one whole truth. All of them, because they all talk about the same thing. To be honest, ours is the only one with the bad place. The Christian religion is the only one with the bad place. All the other ones have all these. Well, they explain it as a nothingness, not really a bad place, but like you won't go to heaven, but you're not really going to go anywhere special. It would be just like vast darkness. That's not really a hell. That sounds like purgatory. And our Bible breaks it down a little bit further. It says that yes, there is a purgatory, but there's also a hell. Purgatory is where the Leviathans are held. Leviathans and Titans. I think all the creatures that God couldn't kill off because they were just as strong as him are housed there, like all the original gods. Another neat thing I found today while doing research into some more of my stuff is that did you know that the periodic table of elements, when put on a frequency scale, makes a perfect swivel going up the frequency scale instead of on a square block diagram? It looks almost like one of two sides of a DNA, a strand of DNA. I about called it a hexagram, but it's not a hexagram. Yeah. Periodic table layered through frequency. I think it's frequency and color. They've got a really fancy one. That's pretty close to it. It's showing all the different frequencies. That's pretty close to it. That makes the infinity. But that's all it's making. Periodic table is making an infinity symbol. There it is. The frequencies of the periodic table. Through frequency, and I think it was through light too. Through frequency and light. because light has its own table of light spectrum as well. There it is. No, it ain't. It's showing it there, but it's not lined up. When you put it in line with the frequencies in which it performs, it makes this perfect swivel going in an upward pattern. There's the tableautic elements, making that infinity circle. I can't find it. But I did do some research into it from the links that he had available. What the heck? Oh, it's my father. Speak of the devil. I was talking to my father, talking about my father, and he started. Oh, here we go. Chemistry color of light. So it goes up, down, wavelength. These are all the wavelengths of chemistry in color. They go up, down, up, down. But when put side by side and the frequencies going from base to whatever they're going, they make this crazy swivel thing. There's the color frequency chart. Yeah, it looks something like that. That shows the vibrational frequencies of us, how the lower ones are much larger and heavier, and the higher frequencies, joy, unconditional love, are much higher, smaller. That was close. I'm getting off on another tangent. Let's go back. Periodic table layer through. I spelled that wrong. Let's correct that. Yeah, it's only showing me this one. It's not showing me the one where it's stacked on each other. That's music frequency. That's not the periodic table of elements. Periodic table. Here's how they characterize it, but it's not really separated the way I was just explaining it. There's a separation of the elements and what they sound like through frequency. Here's the spiral of the elements and what they do. Oh, here it is! It's just not laid in a straight line. Here it is. It's just not in a straight line. You're looking down it instead of at it, going straight up. This is what they look like, spiraling around. Isn't it weird how they make that perfect spiral? What's up? What's up, leftovers? I learned something today. If you organize the periodic table of elements not by weight and in those blocky form, but you organize it by frequency and the light spectrum, it makes this perfect spiral in an upward ascending form. And what it does is as it spirals, it gets thinner and thinner. Pretty neat. We're looking down at this one instead of up. There's the one that makes the infinity. Oh, here it is. Boom. Spirals in an upward form. That's the wavelengths of the periodic table of elements. It's a little strange, isn't it? that it kind of resembles one of two halves of DNA, the periodic table. Finally found it. It's just wild looking. There was a real good one just then. I missed it by one click. There's an example of everything it does. There's calcium, all of them. All of these go in this spectrum. To 10 octaves. Crazy, isn't it? Makes a perfect spiral. I just thought it was wild. That when you stack it differently, it looks much differently. All right, where we at here? I'm not really interested in cloud storage, man. I think I don't think I want somebody else in control of my storage. I think I would want to be in control of my own storage. I'm just not interested in cloud storage. It's it sounds like a cheap way to offshore or delegate work to somebody else. Whereas if you do it yourself, you save money. I'm just not that interested. All right, network file and storage. All right, leftovers, let me ask you the same question I asked my father today. Do you know what your purpose is here on this earth? Because I've been asking about my purpose for about the last week. Almost 3 minutes, but it's classified as two. It's 8 seconds away from 3 minutes, and it's classified as two. In the last course, we mentioned that very few file systems can be used across all major operating systems. I'm going to start here.
In the last course, we mentioned that very few file systems can be used across all major operating systems. FAT32 is a popular file system that's compatible.
Let's not leave Hex out either. I forgot to ask her that same question. Hex, what do you think your purpose is here? You don't care about your purpose? Fair enough. What about you, Hex? Are you curious about your purpose here?
With Windows, Linux, and Mac OSs, but it has severe limitations on the amount of data you can store on a volume. What happens if you have
Well, the fact that she didn't get an abortion says that there's a higher plan in mind. So you do have a purpose. But I will respect the fact that you say you don't care. So I will not harass you about it. I am curious about Hex. I don't really care if she thinks I don't want to know. I do. I'm curious. No, I'm good, leftovers. You've already stated that you don't believe in it in your own way. That you don't believe in it, so I'm not going to press the matter. Multiple users. Dive into it a little bit more. What do you mean by help others? I mean, I gave you a pretty good example. I think that I'm here to also help others. I think I'm here to teach because my thirst for knowledge is so strong that I'm constantly absorbing everything I find interesting. And I think that there's a reason for that. I don't think I'm here to create. I think I'm here to teach. guys don't fight with each other. Uh, Leftovers obviously has a strong view that's opposed to what we think. To respect his space. That's another. Well, no, Hex does have a point. Leftovers. Sometimes your fellow man just needs a little bit of help from jumping off that bridge. You could be the one thing in his life that stops him from unaliving himself. I help everybody I can, but it's impossible to help everybody. It's a physical impossibility. That's why the fellow man needs to come together with their fellow man to just be nice to the fellow man, and that means women too, women and children. You just got to be nice. Because I've been in situations before where all I needed was just a little bit of kindness and nobody was there for me, and it really put me into a situation where I hated my fellow man, and I never want another person to be in my shoes. I like people, I really do, but people are evil. I think empathy is also a given trait of ADHD. I think you develop empathy because you don't know how to associate yourself in society. I'm sorry. It's kind of been showed a little bit that um that's a trauma response. The self-pleasing or not self-pleasing, people-pleasing is a trauma response of ADHD. That's been proven. It's one of our masks because we are so in tune with our surrounding that it's a trauma response when we pick up on stuff like that because we recognize patterns. We're really good at pattern recognition. So when we see that you're acting a certain way, we're like, crap, we've done something because that's been our reaction. They've lashed out at us. So now we think that we're the problem. But in actuality, people just don't know how to manage their own emotions because nobody teaches them how. I'm a great example. I get mad at the drop of a hat. Nobody taught me how to manage my emotions. So when they flood me, I don't always know how to control them. And I can get mad at the simplest of things. All I have to do is just think you're trying to be south with me. Foul, I guess, is another word you can use. You're just trying to be foul or trying to gaslight me, and all of a sudden I'm upset. All because I wasn't taught how to manage my emotions and I'm having to figure it out on my own. The best thing that I've ever had to help me manage my emotions is to move with curiosity. And I find out every day that I'm not moving with enough curiosity. I actually got upset at somebody recently that I feel bad about getting upset at, but in the moment it felt real. It felt like that was what was going on, and that wasn't the case at all. This world's unfair to us thinkers. It really is. Because we're our own prison guards as well as our own prisoners. We'll keep our fellow man in line to follow the design that our government has put out. Let's take COVID, for example. People were fighting with each other all day over COVID, and it was because they were trying to force us to wear masks. Um, a mask isn't going to stop a virus. A mask might stop dirt particles, but they're not thin enough to stop a virus. Just your fellow M3 or 3M mask, that's not going to do shit. I should probably wear one when I sand on wood to stop it from getting in my lungs, but it's not going to stop a microorganism like bacteria. That was nonsense, and people recognized it. People with a brain recognized it. That was nonsense. I'm not wearing a mask. That's stupid. And then when they tried to do lockdowns, people that were kind of smart was like, no, that's stupid. And the fellow man kept them in line. Instead of using their brain, they're like, oh, the media told me this is right. Let's tell my fellow man this is right. And they got aggressive with it. There was all kinds of problems because fellow man was jailing fellow man. Free thinkers, I'm definitely on the path of looking for any kind of free thinker. Anybody that breaks away from the normal, doesn't follow society's laws, doesn't follow their agenda, asks questions. I'm interested in talking to those people. The ones that question their surroundings, question everything. Don't ever believe anything anybody tells you. If you come to my channel and think that what I tell you is truth, go research it yourself. Don't ever take my word for it, ever. Because in my researches I could also be wrong because I don't know everything. Do your own research. Don't just don't just come here and be like, "Oh, this guy's right." No, do it for yourself. Experiment. Experimentation is free. It costs you nothing. Well, assuming your experimentation isn't murder. Then it'll probably cost you some of your free time. But experimentation is free. As long as it's for a just cause, you're just curious to see what would happen. Nobody's going to be hurt. Experiment. And some of the easiest experiments you can do is to be nice to your fellow man and to see what happens. It's super easy. I mean, there's that whole meme that, it takes no muscles, or what is it? It takes no money to be nice, but it also takes no money to be mean. You're right, but choose the better of two evils. In this world, you've got people you're going to interact with every day. It's an inevitability. And if the whole world was just more on being nicer to the fellow man, not necessarily a slave, but just be nicer. If somebody's on the streets and they're hungry, and you can see that they're obviously hungry, go get them some food. Don't tell them no. I do it all the time. I recognize the scams. I get it. I've been in your shoes. But if I see you begging for money and you're trying to tell me you're hungry, and I have food, here, food. I have this. I have the means to go get my own. You say you're hungry, food. Here's food. You don't have to just dismiss your fellow man because you don't believe them. Be curious. Okay, are they actually hungry? Let's test this. Food. If they eat it, then they were really hungry. But if they're really hungry and they eat it on the spot, then it's probably a chance that the people at the house are also hungry too. And they may be telling the truth. So if you go back through there the next time and you see them with that sign hungry and you offer them food, there's another experiment. Did they eat it right away? Did they eat it right away? Yes, they ate it right away. Okay, they're probably hungry. Sit around, watch for a second. Are they actually taking money and giving it to somebody? How much money have they received already? How much food have they received already? Experiment. There's always variables. Experiment. Don't just judge a book by its cover. Some of the smartest people in the world are some of the dumbest people I've ever heard on certain things. Like your need to be alpha. You don't have to be alpha. One person has to be alpha in your group. That's it. One. One has to be alpha. The rest can be beta. You don't have to be alpha. You can be a thinker. There's a reason why hunters and gatherers were created. Which, by the way, I think ADHD is the hunter side of the hunter gatherers. I think neurotypicals are the gatherers, whereas the hunters were neurodivergents. We show all the traits of a hunter in the hunter gatherer world: situational awareness, constantly paying attention to any distractions. All it takes is a twig snapping in the distance, and I can just barely hear it. Now my attention's on that twig. That's all the traits of a hunter. There's my rant gone. Sometimes I really get off on one. The files over network. And another thing when moving with curiosity is it's okay to be wrong. This whole world has got us to where we've got to be right, and being right is winning, and you've got to win. But being wrong is okay too. It's actually some of the most successful scientists actually praise when they're wrong over being right because now they get a chance to experiment with it again. They were wrong. Where were they wrong at? Let's see where they were wrong. Some of the best scientists in the world get excited when they fail. Me too, and I am not above admitting that. I'm actually wrong more than I'm right. You could take my building of a table as an example. How many times did I have to remeasure while I was building that? Because if I would have went with that original cut that I had in my head, after I measured the one I had remembered, it would have been wrong. I had to remeasure 3 different times. Rule of thumb is measure twice, cut once. It's there for a reason, and it's a standard for a reason. Man makes mistakes. It's an inevitability. Man will make a mistake. It's all about how you deal with your mistake. Can you correct it? Are you going to try to correct it? Making a mistake and you're just like, okay, it is what it is. That's not right. That's not how you should operate. When you find out you've made a mistake, that should go down in some form of notes. Yeah, learn from it. Again, mankind is the only creature on the face of the planet that I feel has to fail in order to succeed. If you succeed the first time, you either were able to piece the information together from prior experience and had a good foundation on it to begin with, or you got lucky. And I'm gonna go with the latter because there is 100 different times that I have done something accidentally, like a taser. Dude, the first time I ever did a shot of meth, I sat down and built a taser out of spare battery parts, spare cell phone parts, and some random junk that I grabbed on the side of the road. I did a shot of meth, and after I came back up, I was in a whole nother gear and I built a taser I had no idea how to build. It was an accident. I cannot replicate that today. Well, I can because I've learned about energy. But that whole experience I couldn't have replicated if I had not learned about energy. I don't know how I done it. It was luck. It was luck. I got to slapping stuff together and was like, oh, well, this looks like it goes here. This feels like it goes there. Then all of a sudden I had a taser. It was luck, bro. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a clue. I was higher than bird pussy. I dumped that bag out, and next thing you know, I'm building something that can tase people. Why? Because I did. I don't know how I done it. I couldn't replicate it to this day if I hadn't done research in electricity and know that coil I put on it was actually increasing the electricity. That's what even gave it the potential to be a taser. The big old coil I found on the side of the road that I put on, I was like, huh, well, this looks like it should probably go there. It was an accident. It was an accident. Again, later I figured out when you put a coil and wrap it around in a circular, it builds up electricity as it passes through. As it goes around that, it gets stronger. It gets more potent. I shouldn't say stronger, more potent. And now I'm learning about Ohm's law, which is teaching me how to get voltages and currents and stuff like that, how to actually do the math into that. Ohm's law. Ohm's law is actually kind of cool. It's a pyramid. You multiply one time or you divide two times to get what you're looking for. I think volts are current times resistance, and then everything else is volts divided by or this divided by. That's just how Ohm's law works. So volts is the multiplication. To get volts, you have to multiply, but everything else is division. So volts is the potent part.
Have multiple users that want to share files between each other. Well, they need to store the files somewhere and they need to be able to retrieve the files over a network. Network File System, or NFS, allows us to do this.
Network file system. NFS. But like with everybody, like I've said 100 times, I have my own opinion. I have my own thoughts on the matter. I've done research, and it's not complete. So no matter what I tell you, any given day, do your own research. Even if I tell you you can do your own research, but this is what it's going to say. Do it. Do it anyways. Never trust anybody's word. Find out for yourself. Move in curiosity, and you'll learn how this world actually acts. What's really going on. You may not learn it all today, and you may go through processes where you're like, holy crap, I'm awake to this now. And then you realize later, holy crap, now I'm awake to this. Because there's all these different freaking layers, man. And I know I sound like a crazy person just on here always spouting this stuff, but do your own research. Don't just call me crazy. Don't just believe what I say or not believe what I say. Look into it for yourself. There's bad things with everything. Did you know that LEDs that are so cost efficient to buy are actually harmful to us? And there's been research done into LEDs and the wavelength in which they emit that shows that LEDs in high concentration are bad for the human body, not brain, not eyes, not skin, body. I'm the world's worst. I use LEDs. Heck, I've got LEDs in one of my doorways. It used to be my gaming room, if I'm being honest. And then as soon as I got a girlfriend. Yeah, yeah, no. You can actually turn LED bulbs into Wi-Fi extenders. They're actually really bad for you. The frequency in which they operate on is detrimental to your health. It's actually DNA damaging. And there's a lot of things that's around us that's DNA damaging. And right around the time they started experimenting with LED bulbs was right around the time that paint was getting converted off of lead and mercury. So I've been doing some research into lead and mercury. Lead's pretty common. We kind of all know that it blocks signals. That was an inevitability. It was bound to be found out. But lead in the walls would block all these bad frequencies from entering into our body from other rooms. So like, well, lead on your paint wouldn't allow for a Wi-Fi signal to travel through. So you could have the Wi-Fi in the very next room, and if you're both the walls on his wall leading to you and your wall leading to him, if they were both lead paint, the Wi-Fi signal would have a problem getting through. So there was one of the main reasons why they wanted signals to be able to be transferred over. But that was all over some kind of mind control test with the CIA that I have found out. Again, don't trust me. Do your own research. But it was all over some mind control thing. They were trying to. It was around the same time they were altering the frequency and radio signals and everything else. Um, but then all these other things started coming around, like mercury. You can't have mercury in paint. One of my very first cars that I ever owned was a Camaro with a mercury-based paint. It was a '98 Camaro, and I think it was classified as pearlescent, but I think it was something else. But it would change colors, but it would only change colors in the light. So at nighttime, it was a steady, deep purple color. At daytime, it could be anything from like, well, average was green to blue to purple. It would just change colors as the light hit it, not per se as I passed it. That paint got banned. I found out recently if you use mercury and you put it high enough up in the air in a certain kind of metallic ball, lead, put it in a metallic ball, lead or steel, it could be either or, and attach a copper wire to it, grounded with iron to a ground rod, into some form of battery, it will put a charge into the battery. If you're high enough into the atmosphere and you hook it to a breaker panel, you can power your whole freaking house with it. So I think the war on lead and the war on mercury to get all those taken out right around the same time was to stop us from finding out the technologies of old, how they had already solved the war on energy and already solved all these DNA damaging frequencies that had been implemented from wars between aliens, which I also think that Yahweh is an alien. I should point that out. I think he's an alien. That goes back to the text of Thoth. And I know I'm not pronouncing that right. They call him Thuth, but there's an H right after the T. Thoth, Thoth. Thoth. And that goes back to Anunnakis. And I'm not the only one that's waking up to all this stuff either. I keep noticing that Russell Brand is preaching for Christianity. The man that was known for being um, a womanizer and a drug user and a partier is preaching for Christ. Russell Brand. And not to mention the new reveal of, what was that, Putin? Anybody else see the reveal of Putin's picture? I'm actually following Russell Brand now. He's got some stuff to say, and it's right there on par with some of the other ones that are telling me and everybody else listening to go out, and you should look into some of them. Oh, that was a whole different question. Vladimir Putin had a picture made up for him, and it was revealed. And when it was revealed, the picture was so disturbing it shocked President Biden. He jumped back. We're about to find out. Putin's picture 2024. I knew it. Oops. Painted. Was it Putin? Red. Demonic. Was it Putin? Oh no, it was of a saint. I'm sorry, it wasn't Putin. This is him. So what happens when you take this picture upside down? Let's find it. Upside down and merged. There it is. And now I got to find the upside down. Boom. It brings forth a picture of the devil. Eyes and everything. When you put the two together and merge them, there's his neck. There's the goat face. The goat horns. This is this guy. It's a saint. I thought it was Putin. It's a saint. Yeah, no, it's bad. What was that name? King Charles Satanic? King Charles painted picture? King, oops. Charles painted picture. And now let's find the one that I actually seen. This guy flipped it upside down, put it together. That's the one we just looked at. Flipped it upside down, and as soon as he put the pieces together, it formed. As soon as he put them together, I seen it. It's upside down, but that's it. You can see the skull and everything, the two pictures together. See the horns extending out. Painted picture, upside down. That's the same one we've been looking at, right? 6 days ago. That's the only one that's going to show us, man. But yeah, that's as close as I can find. There's one that's a little bit better. You can see the neck, the shoulders. You can see the mouth, the nostrils, the eyes, the horns, and yeah, pretty wild, huh? They noticed that when they put it together. It was satanic. And what do they do with the cross? Whenever they say they're a satanic cult, they turn it upside down. So the artist turned it upside down, and that's what he found. And yeah, there's the picture of. It was so bad he jumped back when he seen it. President Biden jumped back when he seen this. When he uncovered it, he jumped back. I seen the video. There he is uncovered. He jumped back when he uncovered it. Like, oh shoot, what was that? It was bad. They're just waving it to our face. Yeah, guys, we're doing all this with demonic powers, demonic presence. Here's proof. Because in the Satanic Bible, they word it to where they tell you that as long as you tell the person that you're going to do evil to them, when you do evil, it's okay. That's in the Satanic Bible. I'm paraphrasing because I don't own a Satanic Bible, nor have I ever owned one or read from it. But from what I have heard in it, from multiple different sources I've read, as long as you tell them you're going to do bad to them, that you're about to kill them, murder them, rape them, whatever you're about to do, as long as you say you're about to do this, it's good in the eyes of God, and you're okay to do this. In the eyes of Satan, maybe. I gotta go pee real quick and we'll get back at this. Yes. So I am a firm believer, Hex, that nothing is what we see, or nothing is what it seems. All because of stuff like that. I may be claimed as uh, a what do you call them? A conspiracy theorist. I may be filed as a conspiracy theorist, but I am pretty sure that I am not too far off from the truth. Files to be shared over a network. Over a network? Oh yeah, no, for sure. I sound like I'm crazy, but that is okay. So, whenever I was younger, I remember the conspiracy around the 4G towers is that they're going to try mind control. And then the CIA released some documents saying that with the step up of the different generations, they were experimenting with mind control. So that was a experiment that was a conspiracy theory that people were debunked as crazy that came out to be true. And then they started saying they're poisoning the food. That was a big conspiracy. They're poisoning the food. The war on fat's not it. Uh, uh, this big conspiracy came up about food. Then they came out, and they're still coming out. They're still coming out this day with all kinds of stuff like, no, you're right, this isn't working. But they're slowly but surely coming out with that conspiracy as true. And all those people that were classified as crazy were still classified as crazy, even though they knew in the past. So I think that what you just said is factual. When somebody starts getting on to the truth, the head ups that are trying to hide it from us get to social media, get to the news, get to stuff like that, and start making these people seem crazy. Anybody that thinks outside the box is crazy. Crazy's bad. At one point in time, crazy was considered good. A long time ago, back whenever, let's say, Thomas Edison, I think it was. No, Tesla. Was it Nikola Tesla? The crazier you were, the smarter you were considered. So crazy used to be a term of endearment for your intelligence. It was like, oh, he's crazy, he's nuts. Oh, that means he's real smart. That used to be classified as what it meant. Now crazy is, oh man, that guy ain't got a clue what he's talking about. He's in la la land. We shouldn't trust him. So I'll probably be classified as crazy my entire life because I think. I think, therefore I am. I think I'm crazy, therefore I am crazy. I don't know, man. I have a lot of questions and not a whole lot of answers, and I think I'm asking the wrong people. So I've turned to the right ones. I've started asking deities, and I'm going to go with the deity I believe is factual, and that's Yahweh. So I have started asking Yahweh, uh, who knows everything, what I should do. And I think for the rest of this year, I'm just going to continue to talk to him and see if I can get an answer, even if I have to get more simplistic with it. I've seen a couple videos, and I'm sure these are just fucking freaks of nature. But I've seen a couple videos where people are just like, "You ever want to have proof God exists?" And the one that always resonates with me is it's this guy that's out hunting, and he looks across the way, and he just takes a second. He's like, God, if you're real, uh, let that eagle come near me. I'd like to see it. That's an awful pretty eagle. Can you bring that eagle closer to me so I can see it? And he said no longer did he no sooner did he get those words out of his mouth and getting into his position, an eagle landed on his shoulder. And he picked up his camera and he told us about it. And that one resonates with me. Sometimes if you want a miracle to happen, you have to measure what miracle you think can happen in that time frame. Now that's not saying that he's not capable of it, but is he willing to do it to prove he exists to people he's already proven he exists to once before? So you may have to go a little simplistic with it. Right now, I'm just asking for my purpose. That may be too strong, but I'm going to keep at it for 21 days. Just every time I'm in the shower, just raise my hands to the sky and just ask him for my purpose. Make sure that I have the goosebumps on my body to make sure that my left and right hemisphere of my brain are merging together and I'm actually trying to communicate with Yahweh like he's instructed us to bring it together and talk to him. And I'm just going to keep asking those questions, man. I think if I have to get any more simpler with it, I'll go to the questions. How can you show me how to talk to you? Yeah, nothing's going to hurt. It's not going to hurt anything. The worst thing it may hurt is people's opinions of me. And let's be frank, I don't care what other people think of me. I may mention it an awful lot, but the bottom line is I don't really care. The bottom line is you don't play a major role in my part because every person I have ever thought in my entire life would be there for the rest of my life is now gone. So you won't be a major contributing factor. Just like the chances of Hex staying around for the rest of my life and being my friend are also slim to none. Because people that I have had relationships with in the past, whether it be friendship or romantic or it doesn't matter, the majority of them are gone. Occasionally, I get contacted every once in a while from somebody who just hasn't let go yet. But for the most part, they're gone. So nobody's opinion of me today is going to affect what I'm going to do. It may hurt my feelings that you think that way of me, but it's not going to affect how I act. I'm still going to be me. You say that, Hex, but if you're still here 10 years from now, I'll be surprised. I value you today, and that's all you need to matter. Or that's all you need to know that you matter. I value you today. But that goes back to the whole trauma response, though. I have a inexplicable urge to tell people how I feel about them consistently because somewhere along the lines, I feel like I haven't done well enough and lost somebody that I cared about. So that could also be contributed to a major character flaw from trauma, a trauma response. Another thing too, and I can't stress this enough, It's also another proven fact that the more you know, the sadder you are. So if you don't want your life to get any harder than it is right now, because it will, once you start learning, it'll get harder because now you'll have new rules to live by. But if you don't want your life to get any harder, don't go asking questions because the more you know, the sadder you'll become. And I promise that to be true. Yeah. So don't go asking any questions. If you're content where you're at right now, um, you're okay with the level of pain you experience on a daily, then probably don't go asking any questions, especially not to people that don't value your questions. If you have questions, ask them to the right people that will direct you in the right path, not show you all the potential outcomes. I think that's where I screwed up the most. I started asking questions before I broke free of addiction, and it's led me to a very paranoid state of mind because while I was asking those questions and getting answers, the same thoughts that I had in my head were the way that they were actually acting, despite what they said. So the same thing that I thought that they were going to do, even though they had said a completely different thing, was what they actually did. And for that, I've left myself in this paranoid state because yes, there is evil, or yes, there is good in humanity, but there's also evil. And when given the opportunity, mankind will choose evil over good. Being good is hard, being evil's not. You have to have a balance of both. Yeah, then probably don't go learning about this world because it'll make it worse. The easiest. I'm going to put that in parentheses. The easiest way to set up a network file system NTS server is by using a Linux environment. Oh man, did I just prove I'm a masochist? Wait, masochist is I like to hurt other people, right? Sadist is where I like to hurt myself. Yes. Did I just prove I'm a sadist? Because I'm constantly seeking knowledge and I know with knowledge will come sadness. Yes, yeah. I think I am. I think I just proved my sadism. But in my brain, I have to know. What I don't think I can explain to people is the actual thirst of knowledge. Now, I would much rather talk about it and experiment with it firsthand than to just brainstorm about it. Because brainstorming is essentially just a hurricane of ideas with no finite answer. But I do like it. I do like learning. But it's got to pique my interest. Kind of like let's use Tiffany as an example again. Whenever I first started dating her, she got a job within 2 months of me knowing her. And it happened pretty fast. Don't get me wrong, it happened pretty fast. But that's fine. You get your job. I wouldn't let her have a job for 4 months in rehab. You got yours in two. You do you. Each rehab's different. She got her job and started doing her thing, and I got to noticing that her job was driving her nuts. I hated it. I hated it with such a passion. She'd come home and talk to me and just be totally wore out and so frustrated, and I just couldn't have a meaningful conversation with her because of all the complaining she was doing about her career. And I started thinking, man, it's time to get you out of this. So I started paying attention. And I paid attention to what she liked to do for fun. And constantly she was out painting other girls' nails, giving one of her friends a haircut, or it was just some of the things that she enjoyed doing. So I hinted towards her, hey, um, don't you think maybe cosmetology would be a place where you would be a better fit? You know, it seems to be something you like to do. I think maybe you should look into schools. And we had a very nice conversation about it. And, I thought it ended pretty well with the acceptance that she was going to start looking into schools. Well, a few months went by, and she told me I got accepted. I start school, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's great. That's great. And then she went to post it online, and she said sobriety is the 100% moving factor that this is even possible, and completely excluded me. I recognized that from my training in philosophy, that she wasn't willing to give me it because she was a independent woman, and she didn't think anybody else was just in getting gratification for her accomplishments. She's independent. Oh no, it upset me severely. But I didn't show it then, and I wish I had. So my intelligence made a otherwise positive experience saddening for me because I had dove into psychology and understood why certain people act certain ways. And through also trial and error, I learned why certain people act certain ways. And when I watched her not give me credit and I asked her why, she said, "Well, I'll just take it down." I said, "No, I don't want you to take it down. Why did you not include me into it?" And before we could finish the conversation, she had already taken it down. So she couldn't see the implications, but I could. And it made me very sad. And no matter how much I tried to explain to her, what she'd done was a attack on my psyche because I put forth a lot of effort to get her out of that career that was causing both me and her problems. I put in the groundwork. I did all the work. I suggested schools. I talked to her about cosmetology. We had a whole discussion over it for her to just not include me. So, with that being said, the sadness of knowing why she didn't do it is what hurt me. If I had never learned that about the human psyche, it would have never hurt my feelings. I honestly wish I'd have never learned psychology at all, even the little bit I do know, which isn't a whole lot on the grand scheme of things. I really don't know how to manipulate anybody, but I know what manipulation looks like. I know what avoidance looks like. I know what certain attachment styles look like. I know what certain actions mean. All because I got curious about myself and dove into psychology on why I acted so aggressive, why I was so highly energetic. Turns out I just got ADHD and I'm prone to mood swings. I can go off on rants all day long about this nonsense. I like to sit around and think. I was talking to my father one day about religion. Again, me and my father get on religion an awful lot. And I brought up Buddhism and how I felt. Now, this was back before I started dating Tiffany. I didn't start dating her until probably a good chunk after my brother died. But when I got back in contact with my father was on Josh's death day, or the day after. I got back in contact with him. I had to call him, and that led to quite a few conversations. That led to me understanding that he wanted to be back in our lives, and just opened it all up. Regardless, we used to talk religion a lot, and I told Dad, I was celibate and sober and stuff, and I joked to him, but it was kind of a thought. I think I want to be a Buddhist. And it was along the lines of me trying to learn the spiritual side of stuff. Now, granted, my thoughts were unjustified. That's a awfully extreme jump to learn about spirituality, but that was one of my thoughts. I was being a Buddhist. I mean, I was already celibate at that time. I was running. I think I was on year 4 of celibacy. The easiest way to set up an MTF server is by using Linux environment. Yes, let's fast forward.
This. It's protocol that enables files to be shared over a network. The file system is compatible on all major operating systems. The easiest way to set up an NFS server is by using a Linux environment. You can install NFS server software.
put a parenthesis right here. No, let's go right here. All right. Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you that or not, Hex, but whenever I went to rehab, I did a lot of self-reflection, and I realized for a long time I was, um, actually, let's backtrack just a little bit. As a very young, um, I shouldn't say adolescent. I wasn't a teenager yet. I think I was 12, 11. I was 12 when I got arrested. At a very young age, a pedophile, for lack of a better word, he called himself a gang member, but he was a pedophile, had initiated me into the Crips. And what that entailed was a beating followed by a raping. And then I was forced to try to act out the same initiation with him watching two other people. Granted, it didn't work, but I was forced into situations that really screwed me up mentally by somebody who was much larger than me. Hey, he ended up going to prison over that. Um, I went to two different judges and told them my story, and after they figured out I wasn't telling a lie, they sentenced him to basically life. Um, but regardless, to my story, um, through my life, I think I was constantly trying to prove that I wasn't gay from being raped and being forced to rape other children, while I was also myself a child. Um, and throughout all that, I'd become a whore for a very long period of time. And then when I made it to rehab, I realized that I didn't have to prove that I wasn't gay. That all I had to do was just not be gay, right? So that changed a lot in me and allowed me to break free of the constant sleeping with women to try to prove to everybody that I wasn't gay. So I went through this whole, I guess it was an inner monologue with myself where I was like, women are the problem. I'm constantly out here trying to show I'm not gay, and then I'm having to deal with them, and all these women are my downfalls, man, because I'm just gonna people please them. I've been through shit, so I just cut them out. I cut them out completely, and I went completely celibate. Well, one of the another main driving factor was if I talked to another woman, I was in trouble in rehab, and me being a womanizer, it was probably best I just cut them out of my life. On top of the self-reflection. So after rehab, I didn't date or anything. I was in shape. I blew all the passes off. And after a while, it became nothing. Like, yeah, I'd get hit on, and occasionally they'd get a little bit more aggressive and be like, hey, look, I really like you. You want to go out and do something? I just have to tell them the whole spiel. I'm celibate. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, it's pretty easy. Only until I made that decision after my brother died did I break the celibacy. And the decision was Josh was supposed to have been my forever. Like, if I needed somebody in my life, I actually needed somebody. Why not trust my brother, whom has never done me wrong, whom knows me the best? If I need company, I can just trust my brother. And then when he died, I realized I didn't have that anymore. And my mother was not long for this world because she declined rapidly. So I started dating. And the first person I tried dating was Tiffany. I think I made a small mistake settling on her, especially through all the things that you've told or we've talked about. I think I made a small mistake just settling on her. I don't think she's right for me. But for the most part, it has showed me in my sobriety what I don't accept in my life. And it shows that sober me versus druggy me were two different people. Druggy me didn't care about your past. Druggy me didn't care about how you acted as long as you were loyal. Druggy me didn't care about who you talked to. Drug Druggy me just didn't care. As long as you came home and had sex with me, I didn't care. Sober me cares about a whole bunch of different stuff. I don't care if you're coming home to have sex with me if it's not something you want to do. I don't care if you're going out and talking to all these people if you're actually playing me. I don't care. Be honest. If there's issues with us, be honest. Don't blow them off. Now I'm going to give you freedom to screw up yourself. Just go ahead and do it. I'm going to tell you the things I don't like you doing. Then I'm going to turn you free and let you screw it up. Now the downside is I haven't really learned how to break free of toxicity yet. And I know that a lot of parts of my relationship are toxic. but a lot of parts of them are also good. So I'm stuck into a situation where old me is like, nah, bro, this is the best you're gonna get. And new me is like, I don't like this. You know what I mean? I think it's all just because I lost my brother. I was a pretty confident person until I lost him. It crumbled my entire world, if I'm being honest. I went from, I've changed everything. I've got all my family back. I'm on top of the world to one of the only two reasons that I even got and sustained sobriety is now gone. And my mother's got another 10 years before she's right behind him. Will I be strong enough when they pass, when my mother passes, to not go out and do something stupid? I'm not sure. Those are questions that haunt me. That's one of the main reasons why I don't go out and I don't do anything. Another question that haunts me is if meth was put in my face again today, 5.5 years sober, knowing exactly how and what creature it would turn me into, would I do it? I don't know. I don't know if it was in my face if I'd be able to deny it. So I simply don't put myself into a situation where I'd have to make that decision. I don't go out to bars. I don't go out to clubs. I don't go out to parties. If the party sounds any way, form, or fashion adult themed, I don't join. I feel like I'm just rambling right now. Maybe I just want to talk. Allow shared access to. Shared access to. Do you have anything to add to all this, Hex? I give you a moment to type it. I have to go use the restroom. I'll be right back. Well, looks like round one has just started. I came out with Force and Vengeance. Did you not have anything to add to it, Hex? I'm open to hear anything you got to say to stop myself from talking more.
Then modify the configuration files for the directories that you want to allow shared access to. Once you do that,
Once you do that, the NPS service, NF, NFS, I said NTS service, will be running in the background of the server. There we go. In the background of the server. I think life is all about learning. You have to make bad decisions to be able to learn. Does that mean you're not going to continue making bad decisions because that's how we are made? No one's perfect. It's just what we take away from it that pushes us to be better. Yes, very much so. But it's that drive to do better that a lot of people don't have. I am glad you have it. I can see wood on the edge of this. I didn't sand that stuff, so it's grabbing stuff. I'll probably have to take it off and redo it. It was just a quick cut with what I had available. I'm definitely going to take it off and redo it. Make it shorter, make it level, not so much wood. So with all that being said, that you think we're all here to learn, what do you think you're supposed to do with all that information?
The NFS service will be running in the background of the server. On each client,
There we go. How would you do that though? How would you help others? So in a world that's constantly trying to punish the ones that are doing good, how would you help others? That wants to access the server. You just mount the file system the way you would mount the file system. M-O-U-N-T, the file system the way you would any other file system. Is parentheses stupid. The way you would any other file system, except you'd use the host name instead of a physical disk drive. Instead of a physical disk drive, a physical disk drive. Is that with a C? No. Being an example, for instance, my older daughter is in a similar situation that I was previously in. I'm trying to show her that it's okay to admit defeat and get out of a bad situation and do what's best for her. Okay, through past experiences. So by explaining your situation through a similar situation, you're able to educate her. That's kind of how I do stuff. So you do it through talking. I like to I like action. Um, Granted, talking does help people understand. Action shows them more. So whenever I try to explain stuff like, I don't know, let's use the Gateway workbook as an example. In the Gateway workbook, at the very first pages, it tells you what you need to do to merge your hemispheres and start the process completely, and it starts with a meditation. I could tell her how to do the meditation, or I can show her. And one of the meditations that I'm trying to, not one of the beginning of the meditation that I'm trying to perfect is getting goosebumps. Goosebumps is a sign that your left and right hemisphere has started uh, coming together as one. And whenever you get these left and right hemisphere joins, you get the goosebumps all over your body. And you can force this to happen. It's hard for me to explain, but it's kind of like at the back of the head. You're kind of like trying to tense muscles at the back of your neck, and all of a sudden you can start getting goosebumps. But in order for me to tell her that, she wouldn't really have understood it. Instead, I showed her. I'm more of an action kind of person. I'm not trying to say your way's wrong. I was just trying to see how you would go about it. Talking, talking can give people ideas, but examples show them how to do it. I guess you ran with an example too, huh? So that's not really classified as talking. That's using examples, real life examples. Good job, Hex. I'm just more of an example kind of person. I've noticed in this world a lot of people are talkers. I can even get caught being a talker, but for the most part, I like to be a person of action. Like if you need something done, instead of saying I can do it, I'll just do it. If it's within my means, I'll just do it. I won't have to say a word. You've already asked. The confirmation's not necessary. I've understood the request and I've begun action. It happens the most in my day to day when Tiffany or mom or just anybody's like, "Hey, what's this about?" And I'll go over there and check it out. And if they don't understand it, I'll just do it. Well, this is what it's about. That's my way of saying and answering the question. So like whenever I'm trying to explain to somebody a way, I'll show them through an example. You know what I mean? It comes the most common whenever I'm trying to reference personal life experiences with stories you've told me. That's my way of saying, hey, I understand. I can resonate with this. I've been through a similar experience. This was my experience. And I'm trying to set up a connection. Hey, I understand. I got you. I've done this before. And then we go about the conversation. I'm not trying to say I've done everything under the sun. I'm not trying to say I can one up you. I'm just, oh, well, that sounds an awful lot like this. Well, I've done this too. Um, and we'll see how it compares. And then from there, I'll be like, example, this could work for you here too. I just like hearing different people's thoughts. Everybody's brain works differently, and that's why I ask all the questions I ask. Yeah, I'm not trying to judge. I'm just curious. Now, the people that do wrong because they like doing wrong, I judge them. I judge them in contempt, actually. And that's how it should be. Mushy should be prevalent. Mushy just shows a connection, like emotional. Mushy's not bad. I can get mushy. And that's good. Being emotional is good. Emotion has its own wavelength, its own frequency. I should make mention its own frequency wavelength, and its own power behind it. Each emotion comes with a power. So it's okay to be highly emotional. Nope, it sucks. I can also agree with that. Having emotions on an extreme measure sucks. But think of it this way. Some people go about their day-to-day life with none. They never experience the pure bliss of something, I don't know, breathtaking, or the excitement of falling down a mountainside before you land to do your snowboard jump, or just anything in general, like riding on two wheels on a four-wheeler. Nobody will ever experience that because a lot of people go through day-to-day life with just a couple emotions. I would prefer not to have just a couple emotions. I would prefer to have a vast array of emotions that I can call upon and use when the uh, moment deems necessary. The shared directory like you would any other, like you would any other folder on your computer on your fine. I guess it's okay to be emotional. I mean, I'm not telling you how to live your life, but you kind of got a superpower. You just don't know it. That also coincides with some of my spiritual teachings. So it's a proven fact that lower vibrational frequencies are things like fear, anger, greed. Those are all lower vibrational frequencies. Whenever you feel these feelings, your body changes and it becomes a lower vibrational frequency. The goal is to raise your vibrational frequency and achieve the God frequency, which is 11,000 or 14,000 or something. And that'll open your crown chakra. That's when all of your different frequencies in your body are going at the same time. It raises it to like, I think it's 14,000 if I'm being honest. But for some reason, my brain's telling me 10. But once you get it that high, supposedly you open your crown chakra and you get your inner Christ awakened and stuff like that. But the path to that is through positive emotions and not letting the negative ones influence you. And it says it right in the Bible to turn the other cheek, to approach fellow man with love, have love in your heart, don't condemn your fellow man. Those are all negative vibrations that the Bible's telling you not to do, and it's only promoting the higher vibrational frequencies. Just fun fact: emotions are a superpower in their own way. Once you've learned to harness them, I don't know anybody that knows how to harness them that's alive on this earth right now. There used to be one. Actually, there used to be one. There was a guy that used to set fire to stuff with his hand, and it was a whole documentary done on him in I think it was the 1980s. And he said, I'll show you this, but you can't publish your findings. And so they did. And whenever they tried to get back in touch with him, he wouldn't. That's the tricky part. Yeah, managing your emotions. But when they tried to get back in touch with him, he's like, nah, I ain't about that life. I told you guys not to do that, and you did it anyways. But there's a video floating out around right now. It's all over the place. They can't get rid of it. It's too old. Of a man setting fire to paper with just his hand. He crumbles up the paper and puts just his hand near it and sets fire to it. It's also known as pyrokinesis. And in the Gateway workbook, it teaches you how to harness pyrokinesis.
Machine that wants to access the server, you just mount the file system the way you would any other file system, except you'd use a host name instead of a physical disk device. From there, you
One of these days, I should send you a couple of the copies of the handbook I have. I've got I've got the it's actually called the Gateway Workbook. I call it the handbook, but it's because it's like an instructional guide. And it goes right along with all these other things that teach you how to like pass through matter. There's auditory clairvoyance. You can hear miles away. There's visual clairvoyance. You can see miles away into the future and everything. Um, Remote viewing, that's just seeing miles away. Remote listening, that's just seeing miles away or hearing miles away. There's all kinds of things you can do with this handbook. I've printed off the one that was the most in depth that I could find, but there's a couple other ones that give you a little extra side pieces. One of them being walking through walls. That's a whole nother experiment, but it goes along with the Gateway Workbook. And it was something the CIA was doing for a long time. Men who stare at goats. It's true. That was a real experiment. They were really on LSD. And the end where it works really happened. Out of nowhere, at the very end of it, one of them succeeded. The shared directory. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that was taken out of it, though. Like you would any other folder. Other folder on your computer. Oops. I'm glad you can indulge with me every once in a while. It feels awful lonely when I don't have any conspiracy nuts to talk to. I wish Leftover would have shared with us his thoughts, but he was too heavy on no, there's no purpose. Maybe later in his experiments and diving into what's real, he might stumble across a purpose and might have a talk with me. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I don't know if that goes
You
together.
can access the shared directory like you would any other folder on your computer. NFS is a good solution.
I feel like that's a new line. Did I spell it right? What? Yeah, but everybody's entitled to their own opinions. That's one of the reasons why though I don't like this whole like identity thing with gender, and I don't like trans stuff being so prevalent going on. I'm not gonna judge anybody for believing that way. If people judged me for the way I believed, a lot of people would not be anywhere near me. But people have curiosity, and those are the ones that I'm trying to talk to. Anybody that's got a closed mind, I'm not interested. I actually visited, yes, it's not our job. I actually visited somebody on one of my breaks a couple of weeks back, a streamer. I didn't have anybody in my stream, and I was just bored, and I was on break, so I went to go visit one. And I started talking about the blob that's leaving Antarctica, which, by the way, we've kind of figured out. It's made the news. The kid that I went to visit that immediately was like, "That's fake. That's fake." It's made the news now. But the blob that's leaving Antarctica, I went to show him, and I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of convenient that right after the eclipse it showed up, and then it showed up again, and they're saying it's an error." He's like, "Well, it said it showed up one more time before that. You obviously don't have your facts right." I was like, "Well, man, I'm just saying when I picked up at it. That's when I picked it up on the 9th of April." Uh, and we went into it a little bit more, just talking a little bit more about it, and I was telling him all the things I'd learned about it and how the water's pulling in to the mass anomaly and not going out from it, which indicates it is actually a massive thing that's happening because water will always swell towards things that are large in the ocean coming up. It'll swell first and it'll come out regardless. I was showing it to him and he just popped off real quick with, "That's fake." Closed it and just went, "Bro." He started saying the same thing I said. I was like, "Man, do your own research. Don't bring me this stuff. Do your own research." Except I normally say that to people that's asking me on my stuff. Like, prove it. No, I'm not going to prove anything to you. You do your own research. Never trust my word. But he's telling me to do my own. He was just so insultive, man. I ended up having to unfollow him. I followed him right away whenever I seen he was talking about planetary stuff and questioning planets because planets are actually kind of crazy and they actually resemble balls of luminous light. They don't look solid at all. If you get a real telescope, they don't look solid, like an actual high-powered telescope. They do not look solid. They look like giant balls of luminous light. And then we found out recently that the sun is actually powered not by a fusion reactor at its core, but it's actually powered by an intense amount of electricity. And it's some kind of theory that scientists were speculating for a long time. It just recently got proven true from these scientists in Canada. They had developed this small ball and put a lot of electricity into it and replicated the sun in this lab with electricity down to the T, replicated a sun. As a matter of fact, it was as hot at its core as it was on the surface of the sun. But regardless, so I'm trying to show him all this stuff, and he just discredited me so fast, man. So it's hard for me to find people that listen. Like, come on, dude. Conspiracy theorists need to come together. We're all on to something. I don't know, man. I would prefer to be a much more welcoming conspiracy theorist than anything. And I'm looking for people that are just like me, that question everything, don't believe anything they're taught. It's just like money. What do you think about money? Before you answer that question, did you know money's fake? It doesn't exist. It's actually fake. Money is fake. What do you think about money? We'll slow down the file system. I'm going to put that in parentheses. It feels like a parentheses comment. I think that's sarcasm. I'm having a hard time gripping it. It looks like sarcasm. Well, yeah, it's fake when they can so easily replicate it. Just making fun of the people just trying to disprove that sun theory that it's actually a ball of electricity. Yeah, no, you're right. People around the world will say it's fake, but there's researchers in Canada that here, I'll just pull it up. Mini sun with electricity in Canada. Mini sun made with electricity in Canada. There it is. Nope, that's not it. That's nuclear fusion. That sure does look like it, though. So does this one. That sure does look like it. Oh, prototype, avalanche energy. But it's no longer a nuclear fusion reactor. They generate it with electricity. That's not it. That's nuclear fusion. This one's the only one that says it. Let's see if this is it.
Other than India, ITER is supported by China, the European Union,
with operations expected to start in 2035.
Nope, that's not it. They've already produced the sun. They've already mini sun experiment. That's a fusion reactor. There it is, purple. Sapphire
I
project.
chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality.
It's not real
and
science.
freedom of creation. Being able to integrate and change and develop at my own.
That the sun and all other stars are anodes for galactic discharge currents. This means that, like a giant capacitor, the sun would have to be a positively charged body, somehow powered by a source at the center of the galaxy, with no evidence and no real science done to back it up in any way.
That just brought up another thing. So the thing I learned today was that there's this universal electricity that's a different form of electricity that's actually inside the sun. And it's so much more powerful than what we're currently using.
We will expand at great length on how unbelievably wrong this is in a moment after we get a little more context. Huygens died in 1979, and a fellow named Don Scott later picked up where he left off. Take note that, like Huygens, Scott is an electrical engineer, and although he is a good one, as we continue, try to remember that electrical engineers are not astrophysicists.
They're trying to discredit it. Let's look up Sapphire Project. Boy, they're just saying it's a scam. They proved an entire theory. The electric sun hypothesis, yeah. Is that other one? No, I don't think that was it. There's the Sapphire Sun.
Going into an office, working 50 hours a week, having that structure.
The sun is the source of all power on Earth. The Sapphire Sun generates. The Sapphire team has discovered the key to obtaining and sustaining high-energy plasmas.
That's okay, I'm going off on tangents anyways. But I thought this was kind of wild. They used electricity to replicate the sun, almost down to the T. So I can't believe so many sources. I would like to point out the first source said CNN. Let's check it. Sapphire Project. The first source that said it was discontinued. Not real science. No, that was the wrong one. Sapphire Project. Fake. Oops, that's not how you spell fake. I can't replicate it again. What did I type in the first time? Mini sun experiment electricity. Oh, and I'm not in videos. There it is. The US sun. Nope. BBC. Hey, they're going back to nuclear fusion. That's the atomic energy. They're trying to go to atomic and nuclear fusion. There's a thermonuclear experimental reactor. They're all going nuclear. Somebody tried to make it with electricity and they're trying to discontinue them. China's artificial sun smashes nuclear fusion. It's fusion energy. Sorry, I got off on a tangent, Hex. I get off on them quite frequently. Alright, take it easy, Hex. Have a good day. I'm gonna get at this. Something I haven't done. Oh, actually, I'm gonna eat. I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. I have my food. Let's get a drink in. Let's eat it and get back to school. I'm quitting today whenever the girlfriend gets home, whatever time that is. Let's see how much we can get done. What's that? Welcome to my stream, new viewer. You got me in the middle of a break. I'm eating a little bit right now. I'm actually severely behind. I was running my mouth at 3 o'clock and didn't realize it. Talking about conspiracies and philosophy and psychology. That was a lot of Lee's. Oh, and spirituality, we were talking that too. Not per se religion, but a lot of religious references. Do you have anything to add on that before I decide to move on to more schooling? I'll just set that there. I don't really care. Let's get back to writing.
To file sharing within a network, but as with anything on a network, heavy usage will slow down the file system. While NFS works with all major operating systems, there are still interoperability issues with Windows. While NFS
Network file share works with all major OSs. There's two. Mostly. You might want to look. site using something like Samba. SAMBA.
NFS works with all major operating systems. There's still interoperability issues with Windows. If your fleet consists mostly Windows machines, you might want to look at using something like Samba. Samba services
Share and manage file services. Might want to consider it's because it works better with Windows OS.
are similar to NFS. You can centrally share and manage file services. Also, all major operating systems can use a Samba file share. The only reason you might want to consider Samba over NFS is because it works better with Windows operating systems. It also includes other services that can be integrated with your organization, like printer services. One thing to note is that you may hear the term Samba or SMB.
You may hear the term.
These two are different. SMB is a protocol
Fun fact. When you create a window share folder,
that Samba implements. Fun fact, when you create a Windows shared folder,
using the SMB protocol. Is a software service suit for a file service. ITE for file service.
folder, it's actually using the SMB protocol. Some by itself is a software service suite used for file services. There are lots of other file storage services that you can use. A relatively affordable solution for file storage hardware is to use a network attached storage. A relatively affordable solution for file storage hardware is to use a network attached storage, or NAS, pronounced NAS.
Whew. That are optimized for file storage.
Instead of setting up a dedicated server like you would other services. NASes are computers that are optimized for file storage. They usually come with an operating system that's stripped down. They usually
In order just to serve files. In order just to serve files. over a network. Over a network. They also come with lots of storage space. All right. Oh man. Server message block is SMB. Oops. Thank you. That's an awful lot of. If everybody will excuse me for 1 second. All right, everybody, I'm back. That was a phone call I had to take. To those of you that don't know, I'm an exerciser. I like to go down journeys with fitness, and I really screwed myself up recently. And it turns out that sugar is an inflammation. It's an inflammation agent at any rate. And I had 3 massive bowls of ice cream last night, 2 massive bowls of ice cream the night before, and 1 massive bowl of ice cream the night before that. Needless to say, my body's rebelling, and I have to go out and get some stuff to help with it. Neat. Let's see if I can finish this one off today. I got about 15 minutes. I'm not going to be able to. I got about 15 minutes before I got to be off this computer, and I'll be leaving somewhere. regulate it today. It needs to last all of tomorrow. I got one dose. Regulate it today and it can last. I might be able to regulate it until Friday. If I go minor with it. I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to go minor.
The great thing about mobile devices is that you can take them almost anywhere. But the risk is that they contain all kinds of information that would be hard to replace. And let's admit it, mobile devices can sometimes be pretty easy to lose. Think about all that data. Personal information like emails, photos, videos, calendars, health data, location data, your Candy Crush high score. It's all stuff that you don't want to lose. So in this video, we're going to check out some ways. So in this video,
You guys will excuse me. I have to go pee-pee. I'll be right back. I'm probably not going to be able to get this video done today, if I'm being honest. My goal was to, but I've got about 15 minutes. So at 5, I got to be off here. It's 4:40 right now. I got 20 minutes to do this whole video. And though the mobile seems like it'll be easy, look at all that I'll end up having to write. Because as soon as they get into detailed information, I just have to write. Because I'm stupid. Alright, guys. I'll be right back. I gotta go pee.
video, we're going to check out some ways that you can protect your valuable data, even if your mobile device is damaged, lost, or stolen. So how do we do this?
each type of important data on your mobile device, you want to make sure the data is synchronized or synced with another location. When you synchronize data, you make sure that the data is the same in 2 or more places.
For each type of important data on your mobile device, you want to make sure that the data is synchronized or synced with another location. When you synchronize data, you make sure that the data is the same in 2 or more places. How does this work? Well, if a calendar appointment is only stored on your device, then you need your device with you to view the appointment. Plus, if you lose access to the device, you'll lose all the appointment details. Now you'll have no idea what time you're supposed to be meeting your friend for coffee. But if you use a calendar that syncs your data, you're all good. A calendar that's signed into an online account will sync any schedule changes or new A calendar that's signed into an online account will sync any schedule changes or new appointments to a central location in the cloud. If you sign into the calendar on another device, but using the same account, you'll see the same set of appointments.
I'm going to write that down. I know how that works, but I didn't know. Well, online makes sense. If I just use my brain, online makes sense. Sign into it. That way, when you sign into it again, it's got all the information readily available for you. So it's on another server. So I don't need to write that down. Stop it.
A calendar that's signed into an online account will sync any schedule changes or new appointments to a central location in the cloud. If you sign into the calendar on another device, but using the same account, you'll see the same set of appointments. As an IT support specialist, it's important that you understand what data and which apps are critical to your organization, and also what's critical to the end users that you support. Most organizations will care about business data like email, calendars, and contact information. You might also have apps that manage documents, photos, videos, and so on. Your challenge is to make sure that if the device is lost, you can still recover the data. The best way to do this, in which you might be responsible for in your IT support role, is to make sure business critical data is synced in at least 2 places.
Hooky for us. Many mobile apps automatically sync. In some cases, mobile apps already use the cloud. As their cannot. Okay. I'm gonna put that in parentheses because that doesn't look like a real word. Canonical. Canonical data source. So URCE. Canonical.
Lucky for us, many mobile apps automatically sync. In some cases, mobile apps already use the cloud as their canonical data source. For example, if you sign into an account for your email and calendar apps, they'll probably get all of their data from servers in the cloud or your organization's local IT infrastructure. If you lose your phone, you could just sign into the same account on a different device and get the exact same data. With an app like this, you won't lose any data if the device is damaged, lost, or stolen. It's pretty cool, right? Some apps can be configured to, every so often, automatically sync or back up data to a cloud storage service. This means that you might lose some data if you lose access to a mobile device, but the loss will be limited to the time since the last backup. Other apps might store their data only on the local device and not be able to back up their data to the cloud. Some apps can be
To every so often. sync or backup data. To a cloud storage service. Dang, 7 minutes, still 5. I got 7 minutes to finish writing this down. Other apps. Might store their data.
Be configured to every so often automatically sync or backup data to a cloud storage service. This means that you might lose some data if you lose access to a mobile device, but the loss will be limited to the time since the last backup. Other apps might store their data only on the local device.
And not be able to back up their data to the cloud. To the cloud. Backing up this app data to the cloud. Backing up this app data to the cloud.
And not be able to back up their data to the cloud. In that case, you want to synchronize your data to another location in case something happens to your device. Maybe you remember from an earlier video how each app on your mobile device has a specific location where it's allowed to store data. Well, iOS and Android both support backing up this app data to the cloud. Not only will these mobile OSs back up app data, but also your device's accounts and settings too.
All right, I got a few minutes to grab this. 3-hour stream, got one section done. Bro, I feel so useless. I got off on a tangent and it took over for too long. Alright, let's read this. Key takeaways. Mobile OS platforms have built-in ways to back up the data carried on your mobile device and exchange with other devices. Account based platforms link familiar productivity software and apps to a particular user profile. One username and password syncs files, photos, people, and content across different instances of the software or app. Okay, neat. Look at this one. Android. Backup and restore your data on an Android device. I'm pretty sure I don't need that. What just happened? Sure, I'll take it off. I don't. Huh? Okay, doesn't matter. It grabbed it. That's all that matters. I don't need to know how to back up. I know how to back up. Oh, they don't really have a whole lot of options. File services, print services, configure print services. Oh gosh. Stop it. Alright guys, that's it for me today. I probably will not be back on. I don't even know if I even have anybody still in my stream. If I do get back on, it'll be a freaking nature. Get these ungraded plugins knocked out. But for the most part, I'm done today. I don't feel good. I ate too much sugar. I made such a mistake. You can see it in my eyes. I got plenty of sleep, man. But, shoo-wee, do I look hit. Them black circles are getting deep. Sugar. Sugar's bad for you. Don't eat it. Coming from the man who ate 3 things of ice cream over the course of 3 days. Have a good day, everybody. Catch you later.